This is Bowling Beyond 200, and you're listening to our roundtable discussion.
Yes, hello everyone. It's Richie Sposato from Lane Number 1 Bowling.
Hey, my name's Jack Hart. I'm a once-a-week bowler. I have a lot of experience manufacturing bowling balls, but that was back in the late 80s, and I'm very interested in hoping everything gets better for USBC and the bowlers.
Yep, we've got Rex Byron here, inventor, president, and manufacturer of Eileen's Bowling Buddies.
My name's Bobby Nelson. I'm out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been bowling pretty much my whole life, managing centers. I have a pro shop, Western Touch Pro Shop. I also represent Vice Active Sportswear out of Italy. And I also do a little part-time mechanics up at Boulder Bowl. And I love the game, and I hope we can get this back on track, guys.
Let's look at another subject. I think we've put that one to bed. Boo, I need to ask you a couple questions since I have you on regarding USBC. I wanted to touch on that. That the USBC said you mentioned a bounce check, and I know you and I have shared a few messages about the USBC themselves, and I wanted to kind of get into briefly with that about your take what's on this governing body. We call our governing body, the bowling's governing body. What do you think? Are they broke, or is there any way to fix this, or do we scrap it and go on?
Well, if you're asking for my opinion,
I am.
I mean, I've been frustrated for years and years, and I really didn't pay much attention until USBC posted their financial statements for last year. I'm looking through the 12 or 13 pages, and I'm reading, and I'm looking at things, and I'm thinking about everybody that pays their membership fees, and that's where all their money goes. And just the regular bowlers that just show up once a week and probably never will ever win an award or whatever. They don't even know what's going on. But I question a lot of not just the assets, but the spending that USBC does, and how many people does it really take to really run a professional business. I don't think that you should have bowlers that have been in ball companies and stuff, work in a governing body like that. I think that it needs to be a professional company that keeps track of the stats and, that can upgrade. I mean, we're not even upgraded yet from 99. You can't even go back before 99 with USBC without writing them or calling them to ask them what your honor scores were before them. And they have all that information. And I don't understand how hard is it with 50 states, with all the bowling centers, and keeping all the states and local associations together, and then just get into a mainframe and save millions. How many people does it take to really keep track of all that? And I guess
I mean you've been on the bowl.com, but as a association member myself, trying to get anything from the bowl.com, it's impossible. Even it's an antiquated system. I put my password in a couple times, and I ended up having to re-enter everything. I mean, it's ridiculous. Even with our association manager using WinLabs. I mean, I don't understand why they're using WinLabs, which is again another system which is not user friendly, and apparently their IT guy is not paid enough, or is there someone's son doing it? I'm not sure what's going on with that.
I have no idea. I don't know. If people really knew what the salaries were and what we pay those type of people with the 401ks, I don't see it being that hard, spending that much money. And they don't even get out of you get one award now. Not that it really matters, and I heard that they're going to raise sanction fees again. But we're going to see how long that lasts. And in the future,
that is correct. They are raising sanction fees. Their board just voted, I believe, a $4 increase, which is going to increase everyone's at least $2.
Yeah,
locally.
That should do it right there. I think that's going to do it. Pretty soon, eventually, centers are going to become independent and private. And I think that the mom and pop centers, the ones that make it through this, in the end, bowling's it'll come back, but it's going to have to be revamped. And I don't think it's ever going to work with the way it is right now with certain people in certain places. And I just feel like it's been monopolized. I think that it's kind of a fixed thing, and I don't think it's a fair field for the regular bowlers. I think the pros that are up there that are signed have better access to facilities, and different kinds of practice, and it's really hard, and it makes me never want to go out on tour again. I mean, it really hurts to know that you can't be yourself. Yeah, somebody has to own you, you know, and that's
Right. Or else if you're independent, you're not going to be able to compete. I'm sorry, Richie. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Storm did the right thing. They, what are you going to do if you want to be the best? You go out and get the best, and they did. I mean, they have legends. They look at half their staff.
Oh, when you're that big, you can afford the better players. It's again the big fish eating the smaller fish. How many companies do they have now? What, 900 Global and AMF are now part of the Storm brand, as well as what, Rotogrip?
Oh yeah, wow, yeah. They all kind of mixed together. And you got Columbia guys at Global, helping them. I mean, it's all intertwined now. It's not regulated. I mean, you can't just regulate a ball company and say, okay, well, pull me one every so-and-so balls and send it in and we'll check it. Who is the actual person that regulates and can go up to Motive and say, hey, you know what? This ball's illegal. Well, those last couple thousand bowling balls you did are bunk, and we're not going to accept them. It's not really.
Yeah, since you're .002 over the RG limit, what was it? 2/100ths or 2/1000ths over?
Yeah. Well, nobody knows the real story. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of shady things in bowling. A lot of things happen behind the curtains, little handshakes or phone calls here and there. It's easily, it can be manipulated so easily, and it's just not regulated. And I don't know who you would hire or what group of people you could do to literally go into a factory and watch them and regulate them.
Oh, it's like a meat packing plant. You have a 24/7 inspector on site watching every bowling ball that goes through there. But I don't think that's really feasible.
Every bowling ball. I'm just saying, every once in a while, just a surprise walk in and like OSHA would do or something. Just make sure that everybody's on the level. That they're stamping the balls, or they don't have a pile of balls sitting somewhere waiting to invent a smell or a name, or you really do to a bowling ball. I mean, really.
Yeah, you're on with your Lane One's owner, president, and founder, correct?
Yes.
What's your take on that?
Well, my take on the bowling balls is, the bowling balls do contribute to scoring, but, the main culprit is the lane conditions. Okay, and we need to have standards. I mean, not only in lane conditions. I mean, I'd like to see some standards on the ball surface where we're eliminating dull balls. If you look back in history, okay, when they had the Shore D and the Soakers, okay, it told you right there that, too much grip, gave weaker players an advantage. Don McCune winning 7 titles in a season, okay, and they outlawed, soft balls. They put a hardness rule in there. But, as technology progressed, the manufacturers just circumvented, those rules, and the governing body did nothing about it. First they came out with a dull ball, the LT48, so, the ball is gripping and hooking more. Then they came out with, urethane, and, then they stripped the back ends, vacuum strippers, and now you have more friction and more friction. And friction is the silent killer for bowling. Okay, we have to eliminate friction, whether it's with the ball surface, with the lanes, the oil pattern. We have to eliminate friction because, the more hook you get, it only helps the weaker bowlers.
Oh, Jack, you said you're a one-time-a-week bowler, right? League bowler?
Yeah, that's correct. I bowl once a week. I did have the pleasure of manufacturing balls back in '86 and '87. I think everything went downhill when they went with the dense core ball. Once they got away from the 3-piece or the pancake weight block, that's where everything changed.
Well, yeah, but if you really think about it, I don't care how powerful or strong the ball is or the core is. You can eliminate that with a lane condition, with oil on the lane. You don't strip the back ends, the ball's not going to hook on the back end. I don't care what you put in the ball. So it's not necessarily the cores, okay? It's the conditions and, where the dry boards are and how many dry boards. And now the cores will take advantage of those dry boards, but if you eliminate the dry and eliminate friction, okay, you can put those cores in a plastic ball and, they're going to, plaque on an oily condition.
Yeah, so
the bowling centers have it wrong. The bowling centers, they're trying to help the weaker players, the mediocre, the masses. And when you try to help the masses get better, Okay, they don't deserve to score higher, and now you make it easy for them, but you're making it more difficult for the higher average bowlers, or you're making it less of a gap, and when you're catering to the mediocre bowlers, well then the high average bowlers are just going to quit and say, oh, lanes are too easy, blah blah blah, and instead of helping the mediocre masses, the bowling centers, have to respect the scratch bowlers and try to keep the scratch bowlers happy in pristine conditions, to their liking. And then you could teach the less caliber bowlers how to get better, rather than artificially, allow them to score and hook the ball. That's the problem.
Well, your bread and butter bowlers are the normal bowlers. I mean, if you were to look at any of the centers, they would much rather prefer just to have a set league. Scratch bowlers are kind of a pain in the ass to proprietors. I mean,
yes, they are.
They are, and now that the scratch bowler has disappeared, bowling has disappeared. Leagues are disappearing. So obviously, that mentality, that thought process is backfiring on them.
Well, back in the day, if you wanted to get better, you usually try to latch onto one of the better bowlers, and then emulate them, because they were always down there practicing. They weren't just in the pro shop drilling more and more balls. They actually worked on their game. You'd always see them down on the lane, and that's who you'd warm up to and learn their techniques. I think the stronger balls are destroying the game. Everyone wants to see their ball hooked. Like the kids that go out there and bowl open play. They throw it with no thumb just so they can see the ball hooked. That's part of the fun of it. The harder hitting balls, it's destroying it. Hooking and scoring aren't necessarily the same thing. Anything to lower the scores a little bit would be ideal. Just this last 2 weeks here in Vegas, we had
Ron had 888
within 2 shots of 900. And the other one happened to be a Robert Nelson out of Boulder City.
That would be me.
That would be you, yeah. Yeah, 2 guys within 2 shots of 900. Now I used to be pretty good friends with Glenn Allison, and having a pancake weight block bowling ball with only a 1/4 ounce top weight, that's nothing compared to what they're throwing.
Well, let's talk about Glenn Allison's 900 at La Habra. I used to live out there, so I saw the register's paper that next morning that he had shot 900, and then of course summarily was dismissed by the then ABC, I think it was.
Yep. It was.
Let's talk about that 900. Was a yellow dot. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah, bleeder.
Okay, it was a bleeder, right? Yep. And I've met Glenn Allison myself, and he's talked with Barry Asher, in the shop. I've been out there, and he still talks about it, the 900. And what's your take on that? It's been up again in Facebook about the 900 and having a court battle, and again USBC was not taking a stance on that, which is probably a bad thing for them as well.
That's the worst publicity for the ABC that they could have done. I mean, Glenn Allison is a Hall of Famer, PBA bowler. I think he's got 900, and nobody else bowled 600 on that pair in that set. But
in my opinion on this, I think Columbia is one of the major people that dropped the ball on this one. They should have come out with a ball with his name on it. Now, I was working with a chemist. Glenn introduced me to this chemist that was making bowling balls with his name on it. It was the custom urethane Glenn 900 Allison. Now, we were trying to make a urethane ball that looked like a yellow dot because that's what Glenn wanted. Well, Columbia should have come out and marketed it. They should have ran with a banner and said, here's the Glenn Allison ball. But no, we had to go to a smaller factory making 12 balls a day with his name on it. They lost a golden opportunity to create more interest in the sport.
Well, exactly. That should have been a big news. That should have been Columbia should have had him, coast to coast with that ball or anything promoting that 900 was with their ball, and ABC should have stepped in and had a parade for the guy. It was big news. They could have been bowling past the stage it's at now. It could have changed everything.
Well, the reason it was turned down was whoever was in charge of the high score committee was friends with Ollie Brandt when he shot his 886 and swore on his grave that nobody would ever beat his series. Well, I believe that's why it was turned down.
All right.
There you go. That makes
And well,
sense.
guess what? There's 30 of them now.
Yeah.
30 of them. It's a disgrace.
Well, 30 of them. Yeah, 30 of them now, right?
We're going to have 32 900s after last week between you and Ron.
Oh, I must have missed that.
Wow.
Are we talking lane conditions, balls, USBC, lack of any kind of governing ability, or what are we talking?
Looks like we're talking about everything between the governing body and the dense core bowling balls and the easy lane conditions and the lack of getting new bowlers into leagues. It all gels, everything's related.
What does everybody think needs to be done to, get it back into shape?
Right, Rex, I want to get your take on that. What do you think that we should be doing, or yes, bowlers, just us as bowlers, should be doing to bring bowlers back to the sport?
Oh boy. Well, first of all, I'm a sponsor of the PWBA, so there's a lot of good things about the USBC, and there's a lot of good people really trying. You think about all the volunteers and everybody. So I don't think they're bad-willed. I think they just need a better vision. Everybody thinks they know in bowling. So as I listen to you guys, I'm thinking, I don't care about the conditions, because if I can repeat my shot, which is what I teach, you guys should all go to my website, Eileen's Bowling Buddy, and look at my free educational videos. Because as I've traveled around and dealt with all the top coaches, I always ask them why. And if they can't tell me why, it's not true. And so all I've done is compiled all this information that correlates other sports, how we train, and really the key things we need to do to be better. So what I find a problem with is that all these people are teaching stuff that's not true. So one of the things I teach is action reaction. There's 3 actions in bowling that we all do, and it's not footwork, because I've coached this gentleman that's in a wheelchair. He doesn't do footwork, but he's an excellent bowler. So we all drop the ball, we all bring the ball back, and we all release it. So each one of those is a separate action, and then there's an opposite reaction based upon what you do. So as long as you do those things and repeat, it doesn't matter the conditions, it doesn't even matter the ball. I can show you how to roll and move that ball many different ways. And if you do the same thing, the conditions, you just have to adapt for them. And that, to me, shows the better bowlers. What's happening with our pros is they've gotten good at that one condition, and they have a very difficult time transitioning to other conditions. And that's because of their lack of knowledge, in my view.
I disagree with that. I don't believe that. I think a lot of the good bowlers can hit a lot of different conditions.
Well, there's some that do, but if you look at certain ones, okay, so we're listening to Jasper Swenson win his, and we get the statement, gosh, just put a urethane ball in his hands and he'd win. Well, that's not the case. He's won one time, because those conditions and his alignment of his shot matched up to those conditions.
Well, here's my take on the matter is, if we want to promote the game and promote the sport to, viewers, sponsors, the game, has to be beautiful to watch. So bowler styles, have to be, you have to look good, to the audience. And when you have lane conditions out there that you have to slide in the left gutter, loft it over the arrows, you're using 2 hands to do it, it doesn't look beautiful. Okay, it's not fun to watch. It's not fun to bowl. It looks terrible. And, when you're trying to appeal to an audience, that's not how you do it. Back in the day, you had Marshall Holman and, Del Ballard, and, they laid the ball down, got a lot of forward roll. They were like the combination of a Earl Anthony and a Mark Roth, accuracy and power, and good timing, but when you have lane conditions that dictate your style, and you have to loft the ball, You can't do that. That's not how you promote, to an audience and sell bowling.
You are 100% correct on that, in that then the regular bowler looks and goes, wow, 170, I can do it. Okay, I was a 230 bowler last year, and I know if I went out on those conditions, I'm a 175. I understand it, but the regular bowler doesn't. So they see that, the 100 or the 150 or the 170, going, I can do that. No, you can't. We have to educate them on why these people are great, or give them the conditions that they score well so they look like the pros they are. Because these guys, to me, they are the greatest in the world. There's no question. These guys are the greatest bowlers, but we still don't know who the greatest bowlers are because they don't make the money they should. If they were competing for $1 million, boy, there'd be a lot of people bowling.
Well, let's touch on that. You talked about the greatest bowlers in the world, and I've shared this with Richie last time. When I was growing up in California, we'd go every February to Warner Anaheim and stand in line just to get to be in the show, and I hope you catch a glimpse of anybody coming out of there, any of the pro bowlers. And that was big for us to do that. Now you go into South Point and their stadium, and Rex, you've been there because we were there at the same time. It's not quite the same thing. The show's there, it's the lights, and if you've been on the press side, it really sucks if you can't see anything.
And a lot of people always say, well, the best bowlers, they always go to the top. Okay, it doesn't matter what the condition is. Okay, the best bowlers are always going to win. So if that's the case, why do we have all these different conditions? Just put one condition out there and let everybody learn it, and now everybody's playing the same game, and now you can get some, consistency, uniformity, and now you'll know who the best bowler is, because we're not going to change the condition on you, when you go to the next tournament. The best tennis players are the best tennis players all the time. The best hockey players, the best basketball players. Just put one condition out there, unify the bowling world, and now that you'll know who the best bowler is.
I got a question for you guys real quick, because when I was a kid, I thought there was standards to become a pro. You had to be a 200 average, which was huge back then, by the way. And now you pay a check.
Well, you got to
I
average
can pay a check right now and be a pro.
Yeah, back then it was a 190 average.
190 for 2 years, so 66 sanctioned games over 2 years. I remember that because I had it memorized as a kid. I wanted to get to that point.
We have to have that standard to then define who the pros really are, not somebody that can go do it, that can afford it, and maybe shouldn't be there.
Well, do they change their standards up, or do leagues change their standards on oil conditions to get the bowlers to that point? Proprietors.
You hit it, having those same standards. So.
Right. Again, we're back to the same standards. Now I'm saying PBA and USBC again shouldn't be in bed together. PBA should have their own standards, because that's a private organization. It's not owned by us. It's owned by investors, if I'm correct, right, Bobby?
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct. But the PBA, I feel, is controlled by the ball companies.
Well, that's because they get paid by them. That's their livelihood.
They promote it, but I mean, you look at the logos, and here's a question for you guys: what exactly is that little Ford logo that Walter Ray had on and nobody else has it on? That's a $1 billion company there. So
yeah, why is no one grabbing that and getting Ford to sponsor them if they're so hurting for money? And I saw that Ford logo as well on Facebook. Well, where's the rest? Where's everybody else?
Thank you.
So the people selling sponsorship on the PBA, okay, they're outsourcing it, and they don't know how to sell the game. Okay, and then the PBA doesn't know how to sell the game, or else they would have their own inside salespeople. So they're relying on other people to sell it for them, and they don't know their own product, and they don't know how to sell their own product, because they're trying to get these big sponsors. You could get $5,000 sponsors and put billboards, all around the fan area, and get $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 here, and it'll all add up after a while instead of looking for that one big sponsor.
Okay, so you hit one, because I've tried to be a sponsor of the PBA. It's too expensive for my small company. And so I've wanted to do some deal with them to get some sponsorship. There's nothing available.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They don't make it available for the little guys. You look at bull riding, right? Look at the professional bull riding. You see signs all around, the ring there, from all these companies, Dickies, whatever, all small companies, but they have a lot of them, and they all add up.
You just hit the other thing too, is they show those sponsors. I think the PBA, they need to show their sponsors and talk about them more, so that people want to sponsor on there.
Yeah, who is the sponsor of PBA? I've seen Jack Links, I've seen the Lumber Liquidators, and now I couldn't tell you now.
Barbasol.
Barbasol, okay, that's true.
Well, I think they've gone to more trying to be more sole sponsorships than opening it up to everybody, which would be, to me, the smart way. Which is what the PWBA is.
You hit it right on the head. They don't give people, I do sports apparel. I put out really, really nice custom products. And you have High Five, who apparently shut the door on everybody. I mean, Logo Infusion or whatever. And if you don't wear High Five, you can't wear nothing else, but yet you can go to Kmart and go to somewhere and get your name embroidered on it and show up in a shitty shirt. I mean, and you can't even get a price. I mean, who can compete if you don't even know if you can get in and let people wear your product? I mean, High Five has got it locked up. It's ridiculous.
Well, and then they charge much more because of that lockdown.
Right, but then they're excluding, all the other potential sponsors. They're giving these companies exclusive, okay, and it's, it's cutting out, everybody else, and that's not a good way to do it.
So you just said we need competition. If there's a bad ball driller in town, good competition usually will squeeze them out. If there's a bad center, good competition squeeze them out.
But with lack of competition, there's no way anyone else can get in there. If you're charging, I think Jason Wonders told me, was it $50,000 or more to get a ball registered as a PBA? I know most small companies.
Like $125,000.
Okay, $125,000.
Different tiers. You could register an all tour for $68,000 or $70,000, but then every time your ball makes the show, you have to pay maybe $5,000 or $10,000 until you get up to the $125,000. But the full sponsorship is $125,000 just so people can use your ball. So if I wanted to register lane number 1, it cost me maybe $70,000. But it's like me going to a poker game with a short stack. All the players are already on staff, so how are you going to get players to use your ball?
Exactly. Bobby, you've been out there on tour. In fact, you just competed recently.
Yes, I have.
What's your take out there on the tour? I know you see all the guys with their fancy shirts, and I know you're with Viz Sportswear. Was it Viz Sportswear?
Yeah, it's a really big company across seas in Italy, and bowling is not just a United States thing. I mean, a lot of the bowlers know that it's a worldwide thing, and I've been kind of really sad about how the other bowlers across seas look at how greed over here is killing our sport. I loved the experience, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I took a good friend of mine, Randy Scharf, when we went out, and when you watch the pros and everything, you feel like you're not on the same playing field. They have access to things that I was denied, and that's what really bugs me. And that's why when I got back home, I opened up that group of independent bowlers. And I just, I think that it should be more individual person, and don't let people buy you out and don't sell out. People use your name to make millions. Get some of that money. What are you worth?
Hey, Bobby, tell us more about what you were denied about while you was out in Summer Swing.
Well, my very first stop was up in Minnesota, and I had made a cut on the scorpion pattern or whatever. I never thought about getting the ball off the truck until somebody came up to me and says, well, once you make a cut or you make a finals, you have access to the truck. You can go to the truck and get whatever you want for $40. So when I got to Indiana, I needed something that went longer, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll go out to the truck, and I found a ball and everything, and I says, okay, well, who's your rep? I'm looking at the guy. I mean, it's my rookie year. I mean, I don't know really what's going on. He's like, well, you got to go get somebody to sign off for you. I was like, well, why is that? So I had to go through, where'd they send me first? I forget who the guy is that throws the full roller out there, but they hooked me up with a ball, the least ball that I wanted, which was a Storm match. Went down through it one time, shit, it ran right to the left gutter, and I said, that's it. So after we got done, I told everybody that this ball, whoever wants it, let me know. I'm putting it up for bids. I was kind of joking about it. And then the next tournament after that, a couple staffers came up to me and says, you know what, that's really frowned upon. You're not supposed to be selling balls like that, blah, blah, blah. I was like, whatever. I just don't think it's fair. I think that the upper bowlers need to disclose, how much money do they really make? Who's being paid what? I just felt it was unfair. That's my personal opinion. But I thought it was fun bowling out there and meeting the people, but I wouldn't do it again.
Well, here's another thing. We're talking about the bowling shirts and, shirts, apparel. This is the only sport that I know that the bowlers don't wear their own uniform. They don't wear bowling shirts. They wear golf shirts. They wear fishing shirts, sports jerseys. A bowling shirt is a bowling shirt. A button-down shirt, that's a bowling shirt. But bowlers think it's uncool. Yet you go to some high-class nightclubs, and the bartenders, are wearing bowling shirts.
That's so true. Sorry that's funny, but it's just so true. Very true.
Yeah. Now, you say a bowling shirt? Let's qualify that. What in your opinion is a bowling shirt? I know it's not the fishing jerseys with the zip-up crew neck collar, and what I see as a bowling shirt is a button-down, either a polo or a button, like what do you call it, the Charlie Sheen.
Right. Those are bowling shirts. Everybody knows that's a bowling shirt. So, when you're walking around with a golf shirt on with your name on the back, that's not a bowling shirt or these, dye subliminated shirts. Those aren't bowling shirts. Right. Well, you got to promote your own sport, but you don't even wear your own jersey, so when you're walking around, they know it's a bowling shirt.
Well, I'll put it out there. Does bowling need its own uniform? I mean, does PBA need to have a standard uniform?
Because they're not.
People want to be different. They want to be,
team.
fancy, but they need their own uniform.
Bring back the classic bowling look. That would be nice.
Well, that's what I'm saying. A bowling look, bowling shirt, real bowling shirt.
Now, Bobby, would that change things out there? What do you think? If everyone had the same shirt?
Is that a question to me?
As long as there's no monopoly on who.
Yeah, Bobby, would it?
No more monopolies on shirts.
Yeah, would that change things if people had the same shirt, a button-down bowling shirt? Would that change out there on the tour?
No, there's different styles of bowling shirts, stuff across the shoulders, different colors, but they're all buttoned down like a bowling shirt.
Bowling needs to regain its identity.
Right. Exactly.
I think if you had more money involved and that all these people were doing better and making a living, not having to work and bowl on the side, all these things would take care of themselves. The side issues. But if there's no money involved...
Bowling wanted to change their image from the beer drinking, and so they lost all the beer sponsors.
Well, and why aren't the beer sponsors? Why doesn't Pepsi or Coke? Why aren't we getting those people? But
they did.
We hit a key point that the world bowling is growing. I sell products all over the world, and they are excited. They train hard. It's different than how we approach it. So until we come to that realization of how complex and wonderful and beautiful this sport is, rather than it's just this easy thing, we're going to have problems. We have to define the sport and let people know. When I go to leagues, they fight over the silliest things that aren't even true. And you wouldn't do that in football. You wouldn't do it in soccer or baseball because we understand it better. We muddy the waters. We confuse people too much.
You're always going to have drama in a league. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's part of bowling itself.
Drama. Yes, drama.
But when you go back to Marshall Holman, you talked about that, the fun of watching. Why can't we have that fun, that ultra-competitive, fun people to watch?
I made a comment on my blog. Where has the showmanship gone? The only guy out there and any showmanship was PDW at the time. You got guys out there that are trying, but it's just not showmanship. It's scripted. I mean, to me, it's boring. Where's all the showmanship? Where's that real? I've got to get the strike, and I got the strike, and now I've done it. Where is that showmanship? Where is that raw stuff?
The wrong players. They promoted Earl Anthony, instead of Mark Ross. Then they promoted Norm Duke and Walter Ray instead of Rudy Rebs. you know, they're promoting the wrong people. You know, they're not promoting exciting people. You know, and you know they're milk toast.
These guys get paid underneath the table too. I mean, like I said, what do you guys think? Who do you think makes more, Pete Weber or Belmo?